started with our Pointillism inspired artwork. Remember, we're going to be using lots of tiny dots to create our artwork today. First, I need to choose a subject. That means I need to choose what I'm going to be making my picture of. For this project, I'm going to want to be looking at a picture. You can choose any subject you like. Here are some examples. You could choose an animal. Here I have a nice bright picture of a monkey. Or this picture of a bird. These are both great choices because they have lots of bright colors. So you could choose an animal picture, or perhaps you choose a scene. Here I have some photographs that I took from a beach, or climbing the hills at Devil's Lake. You could choose a scene, so a place as your subject. Or you could choose a person. Here I have a little photo of my cousin, and I could choose a person as my subject today. So I am going to be choosing this bird for my subject. I have here a piece of paper. You're going to need a piece of paper for your project today. It's not super important how big it is. So I have basically a standard copy size paper here, like you would get from for printing from the computer. And what I'm going to do, once I have chosen my subject, I'm going to move on to the next step, which is to sketch or draw my picture lightly onto my paper. So I am drawing an outline, meaning I'm just drawing the shape of my bird, but I'm not taking my pencil and coloring in my bird. Don't want to do any coloring in yet. I'm also going to draw my background. So I'm going to put this nice evergreen branch with the snow. Now that I have my bird lightly outlined, I'm ready to begin my pointillism. I'm going to be using some watercolors for my project today, so I'm going to show you how to do yours with watercolors. If you don't have watercolors, you're welcome to use a different material, such as markers or crayons can also work for this project. Something you might want to try if you have some are some Q-tips. That's going to give you a nice round dot for practicing your pointillism technique. If you don't have Q-tips, you can use a brush too, because you can actually make a dot with your paintbrush. So either of those things will work just fine. And I'm going to be looking at the bright colors in my bird. I see, if I look really close, that there are lots of colors in my bird. Blues, purples, yellows. When the blue and the yellow mix together, they make a green right here. So I'm going to try doing that with my dots. I'm going to start with some blue dots and put blue dots wherever I see blue on my bird. I'm going to dip my Q-tip in the water and get it a little wet. And then I do what's called waking up the watercolor paint. So I'm going to wake up the paints. You can see the blues coming onto the Q-tip nicely. And then I'm just going to go up and down, dot, 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 dot. Overlapping dots. Now, instead of rinsing off this edge, I'm going to keep this for the dark blue, and I'm going to turn it over to a clean edge for my next color. Remember, we looked at how there's a lot of yellow that mixes with the blue here to make green. Well, I'm going to apply some yellow dots right on top of my blue dots to create that green color, because we know if we mix blue and yellow, our primary colors, we're going to get green. If I was using a paintbrush, I'll show you what that would look like. I'm going to take my paintbrush straight up and down. Your dots don't necessarily have to be perfect circles either. Just make nice tiny dots. And something I'm doing, you'll notice in my watercolor tray, I don't want to give my brush a bad hair day. I want to keep it nice and smooth, so I'm kind of sliding it off the edges here so it's nice and a round tip for my dot. All right, I will rinse my brush and take a look at my bird for my next color. Oh, I am noticing some light blue on the top of the head and some darker blue on the wings, and even a little bit of orange here. Almost very light orange there. So I'm going to continue adding. If I want to use a new color with my Q-tip, I will pull out a new Q-tip, wake up the new color. I'm going to be adding some light blue to the lighter areas. If you're using a paintbrush, you want to do it nice and lightly. Very gentle strokes. If I push down really hard, it's going to go kersplat and make a crazy big blob. So really light, gentle strokes if you're using a paintbrush. Notice how I'm trying to fill in my entire bird. So I don't want to see any white spots. Even if I see a little speck of white here, or here, or here, I want to try and fill that in with the colors that I'm noticing. The more layers of dots that I do, the more the colors blend together. The darker color, the color that I can get. It takes a lot of time to make all these tiny dots, just like we saw Georges Seurat did with his artwork. Remember how it took him 2 years to make that big painting? So we're gonna spend 2 weeks, this week and next week, creating our dot painting. So if you need to take a break, that's okay. And if you don't finish your whole piece this week, that's okay too. For my background, I decided to add a little bit of snow, and I'm also going to do a watercolor wash, which means I'm going to get quite a bit of water on my brush, swirl it around in the watercolor paint, and this time I'm not using my Q-tips, I'm using my brush. And I'm just going to do nice smooth strokes in the background, kind of lay down a nice beautiful color. So if you have a really large background like I do, you're welcome to do what's called a watercolor wash, where you just put down a nice color, smooth color in the background by using lots of water and a little bit of color and spreading it all around.